Hi all, Crusader here. This is part 2 of my Rust Basics tutorial. This isn't for advanced users, this is more geared towards newer players who don't quite know what they're doing and just need a little bit of help when it comes to building so they don't get stuck in a 1x1 with all backwards walls. Speaking of walls, let's go ahead and get started. Here we have the various different types of walls. We have wooden walls, stone walls, metal walls, and reinforced metal walls. These are all the hard sides of the walls. You want this side of any of these walls facing out towards the world. On this side, you have the soft side of the walls. You want these facing inside towards you, so that you're not going to break down your own walls. But people on the other side, they obviously want to break down your walls. And if this was facing that way, I could easily break it down with a metal hatchet and be into your base and kill you or steal your loot. Same with any of these. Of course, as you get higher up, even the soft side is harder and harder to break with hand tools. Since we're right here, let's go ahead and talk about airlocks. Basically, airlocks work by not letting anyone else get into your base if you want to fight them. So, if you don't know what door campers are, and if you're new to the game and you have at least a couple hours, you probably have gotten killed by a few door campers. Basically, they'll sit outside your base, wait for you to open the door, and if you don't have an airlock, they'll kill you, rush inside your base, and they've got all of your loot. How this works, it has two functions. One, a combat function. I can open this door and then open that door and fight whoever's outside my base, as well as just being an extra door. So if I were to kill you, and you could respawn in here on your bag, which we'll talk about in the base items right there. But I wouldn't be able to rush inside your base, and you could just wait for me to go away. Or if you're offline and I took off this door, I wouldn't be able to get through the second door unless I, of course, had the necessary items to get through that door. Let's go ahead and talk about base items right now. This is what we're going to put inside the 1x1, but this also kind of represents what you should have inside of every base. Obviously, you should have more storage and more furnaces, but this is just the general idea. This is a sleeping bag. If you're brand new to Rust, you haven't even bought the game yet, you won't know what this is. This acts as a respawn point. I can place this bag down and respawn on it, and I will spawn right here on this bag when I die. You can have multiple bags in multiple locations. It is best to name them, hypothetically saying, base. Let's go ahead and name this one base. If I were to die, I could respawn here and I would know it's my base. This is storage. This is a small wooden box with a hammer and a building plan. You're going to need this to build the 1x1 that we're going to make here in a few minutes. This is a campfire. Use this to cook food. Make sure you don't burn it. This is a furnace. Use this to smelt metal. And this is a TC. Now this can get a little bit complicated, so listen closely. Basically, you put materials in here so that your base doesn't decay. You see I have 16,000 days. Now obviously you're not going to have that much stone in your TC. It can only hold so many materials. Basically, you just don't want your base to crumble to the ground. You can see some of these are already starting to decay because they're not connected to my TC. If I were to connect them to my TC, this would stop decaying. It wouldn't regenerate its health, but it would stop decaying. And I wouldn't have to worry about my base becoming vulnerable to just passers-by. It's also a great way to get loot to find abandoned bases who have run out of upkeep materials. This is a workbench. We'll dive more in depth on workbenches when we get to the workbench section over there. Let's go ahead and talk about other types of walls as well as roofs and stairs. This is a wall frame. This is used for placing double doors as well as shop fronts. This is a floor frame. This is used for placing ladder hatches and pretty much only ladder hatches. This is a window. You can use this to look out of, obviously, as well as shoot out of, which is what most people use it for. This is a half wall. It is obviously half the height of a normal wall. And this is a low wall. It's about, I don't know, to that much, 75%, somewhere around there, of a half wall. This is a roof. Pretty self-explanatory. Mostly used for unlootable loot rooms that you've seen in my last basics video and a lot of my base builds. I quite enjoy the roof unlootable loot room, as well as just extra honeycombing for the top of your base. These are the stairs. There's two types of stairs like this, as well as there's foundation steps, but they're technically stairs that you can use to get up to your door if you're built on a slope or anything like that. Let's go ahead and talk about some other items. Here we have traps, and traps aren't gay. They're very useful, and you should always put them in your base if you find them. Now there are more types of traps, which I can show right here in the traps tab. There are flame turrets, landmines, snap traps, and wooden floor spikes. However, this server won't let me spawn those in because people have been exploiting with them and they don't want that. So you have the shotgun trap, you put handmade shells in here, and if someone were to walk in front of this who's not authorized on your TC, this will shoot them. And this is a auto turret which works similarly, except you don't authorize on a TC, you authorize on the auto turret, and it will shoot anyone who is not authorized on it unless you have it in Peacekeeper mode. Peacekeeper mode works so that if you're holding out a weapon, it will shoot you. If not, it won't. Great for if you want to run a shop or just want to be peaceful. And of course, last thing before we build our little base is the workbenches. Now there are 3 tiers of workbenches: level 1, level 2, level 3. These cost a variety of scrap. This costs 50 scrap, this costs 500, and I believe this is 1500, but don't quote me on it. I'll put it in the description or I'll put it over the video right now. I just can't remember off the top of my head. But basically, you use these to craft items that you need the blueprint for. You find the blueprint by either gambling for the blueprint in here by tossing in scrap, and then it'll put out a random blueprint that is for tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3, and just hoping you get something useful. It's not going to happen a whole lot with tier 1, but you'll probably get better stuff out of tier 2 and 3 with just gambling. Or you can find broken or like nearly broken weapons at monuments or on the side of roads, like low tier weapons on the side of roads and higher tier weapons at monuments. And you can research those with a research table and craft them here at the workbenches. And since the research table isn't really too prevalent to me right now, since we're mostly just covering the very, very basics, I can cover more in-depth stuff like scrap and blueprints. That's not the huge deal right now. We're mostly talking about base items and walls. So let's go ahead and build our 1x1. So we're gonna go ahead and build our 1x1. I'll put the materials that you need for the 1x1, including the resources as well as the deployables, on screen now, and then once you have those, we can go ahead and build. It's very, very simple. This is a 1x1 with an airlock. You put a square foundation, a triangle foundation, walls, door frame, triangle roof, and square roof. Well, technically called square floor, triangle floor, but I call them roofs. Upgrade to stone or wood. You can do either one, but for this purposes, we're going to do stone because you should always shoot for a stone base. Don't ever log off with a wooden base unless it is physically impossible for you to get stone. Upgrade everything to stone. This won't take long because it's so small. Go ahead and place your TC and squeeze it. Don't be afraid to take your time into that back corner. Place your extra materials in there. I'm just going to do it so the building decaying goes away. You can wait a little bit. On normal servers, it takes a little while for decay to set in. Place your workbench. You might not have this immediately. If you do, before you start building the base, have a workbench. That's great, but you don't have to place it immediately. Go ahead and place that. Then we're going to place our furnace right in this corner. And we're going to go ahead and place our small box, which I don't have crafted for some reason, and our fireplace. Kind of glitch your fire into your furnace so you have more room. And take your small box, place that right there. This won't spawn with a lock on it, but it's because I'm playing on a modded server. And then go ahead and place your doors. Now you'll probably have wooden doors to start, but place it so one door is facing out. You can tell by the way that the handle, so handle on this side means it's opening outwards. You want it to be opening outwards. And then take your other door, do the same thing, opening out, and bam, now you have your airlock and you're safe. You have somewhere to respawn, somewhere to store your loot, somewhere to cook your food, somewhere to smelt your materials, a workbench, and a TC. I know this base could be more optimized, but if you're an advanced player watching this, obviously this is just to get a newer player through the night, and hopefully they can survive, learn the ropes of Rust. It's a brutal game, but have fun.